You didn't stop desiring life. Life just stopped giving you the reasons. You were never meant to fade, only to evolve. Aging doesn't steal your power. It reveals where it still lives. This is for the man who wakes up feeling like a shadow of who he once was. For the husband whose wife gently pulls away at night, not with words, but with silence. For the grandfather who used to race his kids through the yard and now wonders where that fire went. If you're over 60 and you've noticed your energy dipping, your desire fading, or your mind feeling foggier than before, I want to say this as clearly as possible: you are not broken. You are not alone. And you are absolutely not done. Every single day I meet men who've spent their entire lives giving everything to others, building careers, raising families, showing up through hardship, and never asking for much in return. But no one told them that after 60, their body would quietly start to change. And with that, their identity would begin to shift too. This video isn't about blaming or scaring you. It's about waking you up gently but honestly to the fact that something has changed. And there is still a way to change it back. Most men won't talk about what's really happening. They'll joke about needing more naps. They'll say they're just slowing down. But deep inside, they're asking themselves, is this really it? Is this how it ends? Tired, unwanted, unseen. The truth is, desire isn't just about intimacy. It's the spark that gets you up in the morning. It's the feeling behind your confidence. It's the quiet power that once made you feel capable, magnetic, and alive. When desire fades, it's not just the bedroom that changes. Conversations with your partner become short and mechanical. That spark of laughter disappears. Touch becomes rare. Your body starts to feel foreign. Your thoughts duller. And here's the hardest part. When that happens, you don't just feel tired. You start to feel like someone else entirely. You begin to wonder if the man you used to be is even still in there. And because no one talks about this, you start blaming yourself. Maybe I let myself go. Maybe I'm just too old. Maybe this is what fading away looks like. But I'm here to tell you something that every man needs to hear: you're still in there. The problem isn't laziness. It isn't age. It's biology. And biology can be understood. It can be worked with. And it can be turned back in your favor. Let's break it down. This isn't about willpower, it's about your body's internal chemistry. Because after 50, and especially after 60, your hormones begin to change dramatically. Testosterone, the hormone that gave you drive, focus, confidence, and even emotional resilience, begins to decline. Not just slowly. In many men, it drops significantly year after year. And as testosterone drops, so does dopamine. That's the chemical that makes you feel excited about life. That rush you once got from fixing something, solving a problem, or flirting with your partner, that was dopamine. And now it's barely showing up. At the same time, your stress hormone cortisol starts to climb. And cortisol is like a fire alarm constantly going off in your body. It shuts down testosterone. It disrupts your sleep. It even messes with your memory and your ability to feel present. And while all this is happening, your circulation slows. That means less oxygen, less blood flow, and less sensitivity in the areas of your body that used to be alive with energy. Desire doesn't die because you don't care anymore. It dies because your body isn't getting the signals it once did. But here's what no one tells you: those signals can come back. And they don't have to come from pills or injections or chasing your 20s. They can come from small, intentional changes that speak directly to the systems that power your mind, your hormones, and your sense of self. Let's ground this in science. A 2020 study from the Journal of the American Medical Association revealed that testosterone levels in men have declined significantly over the past few decades, and that by age 60, the average man has lost up to 50% of the testosterone he had in his 20s. That's not just a number. That's a life-altering shift in who you are chemically, emotionally, and physically. But it's also not permanent. Because another set of studies from institutions like Harvard Health and the Mayo Clinic have shown that lifestyle changes like early morning sunlight, deep breathing, and even basic physical intimacy can begin to reverse those hormonal shifts. Not hype, not hearsay. Data. These studies reveal that your biology is not fixed. It's adaptable, which means that even at 60, 70, or 80, you're not stuck. You're just out of alignment. And the path back isn't extreme. It's actually quite simple if you know what to look for. You might be wondering, okay, so what exactly do I do? That's where we go next. Because now that you understand the why, it's time to talk about the how, the daily habits, the real solutions, and the deeply human rituals that can restore your energy, rebuild your drive, and reconnect you with the man you still are. But before we move forward, let me say this: if any part of what you've heard so far made your chest ache just a little, if something stirred quietly inside you, then stay with me. You're not chasing youth. You're reclaiming clarity. You're not broken. You're becoming aware. And that, my friend, is the beginning of healing. So now that we understand why desire fades with age, the real question becomes, what can you actually do about it? Because here's the truth. Most people won't say out loud. You don't need expensive pills, hormone shots, or some miracle product to feel alive again. In fact, the most powerful fixes are already within reach, quiet, natural habits that speak directly to your biology. And the best part, they work with your body, not against it. Let's walk through 4 simple, proven solutions. Each one is backed by science rooted in common sense and designed to help you feel like yourself again, not in some vague, hopeful way, but biologically, emotionally, and physically. These aren't hacks. They're reminders. They're your body's original language, and it's time to start listening to it again. We begin in the first light of morning, before the world starts demanding your attention, before you check the news, before you sip your first coffee. The moment you open your eyes, step into the light. Literally. Step outside, or at least stand by a window. Let the sun touch your face. Why? Because that early morning sunlight triggers your brain's internal clock, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, to reset your circadian rhythm. And when that clock is aligned, your testosterone rhythm improves too. A study from the University of Siena found that men who received just 30 minutes of morning sunlight experienced significantly higher testosterone levels than those who didn't. But beyond the hormone spike, something else happens. Your mood lifts. Your energy returns. You feel present, alive. Think of it this way: the morning sun is a switch, and every time you miss it, you're skipping the signal your body needs to begin the day. Start tomorrow by standing in the light for 10 quiet minutes. No phone, just breathe. Let your body wake up with the earth. That one moment could shift everything. Now let's talk about something even simpler: grapes. Yes, grapes. Specifically red grapes with the skin on. These aren't just sweet snacks. They contain a powerful antioxidant called resveratrol. And resveratrol has a fascinating job. It helps block the enzyme aromatase, which is the very enzyme that turns your testosterone into estrogen as you age. That's right. Your body is converting your masculine drive into something else. But compounds in red grapes can slow that process down. In a study from Northwest University in China, researchers found that resveratrol not only supported testosterone levels in lab animals, but showed promise in preserving hormonal balance in aging men. Now, before you rush to buy supplements, pause. You don't need a pill. You just need a handful of red grapes a few times a week. I once had a patient named Frank, 68 years old, exhausted, irritable, and convinced he was just too old to care anymore. I told him to add red grapes to his afternoon walk, nothing fancy. 2 weeks later, he came in smiling. "Doc," he said, "I feel clearer, lighter. I don't know what it is, but something's working. Sometimes healing doesn't roar. Sometimes it whispers. Start with a grape. Let's move from fruit to something you already carry with you, your breath. If stress is the silent killer of testosterone, then your breath is the quiet healer. Every time you feel overwhelmed, irritated, or tense, your cortisol spikes. And when cortisol is high, testosterone stays low. But here's the good news: you can reset your nervous system in less than 2 minutes, using nothing but slow, conscious breathing. When you inhale through your nose and exhale even slower through your mouth, you activate your vagus nerve, an internal pathway that flips your body out of survival mode and into recovery mode. Harvard Medical School has long studied this phenomenon, showing that even 5 minutes of controlled breathing each day lowers cortisol, increases blood flow, and promotes hormonal regulation. Here's a pattern I teach my patients. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Do that for 3 to 5 minutes before bed or during stress. It sounds small, but the shift is massive. You'll sleep better, think clearer, and you'll begin to feel yourself again from the inside out. Now we come to something deeper, something tender, something many men avoid even thinking about: intimacy. And I don't just mean sex, I mean emotional closeness, daily connection, touch without pressure. Because for many men, desire fades not because they've stopped loving their partner, but because they've lost the rituals that keep intimacy alive. The hand on the shoulder, the forehead-to-forehead smile, the spontaneous dance in the kitchen. Here's the science: when you engage in non-sexual touch, holding hands, hugging, even resting your hand on your partner's back, your brain releases oxytocin. Oxytocin doesn't just make you feel safe and connected. It creates the emotional soil where testosterone and desire can grow again. A 2021 study from the University of Zurich found that long-term couples who engaged in regular non-sexual affection had stronger emotional bonds and more stable hormone profiles, even without intercourse. I remember a couple in their 70s who came to me because their connection felt gone. He thought it was about performance. She thought it was about aging. I asked them to do one thing: spend 5 minutes each night simply sitting close, no distractions. At first, it felt awkward. Then something shifted. She started reaching for his hand again. He started laughing more. And before long, they remembered something they hadn't said out loud in years. I missed this. So if you take nothing else from this, take this: intimacy is not about performance. It's about presence. You can start rebuilding it tonight. Not with pressure, but with patience. A hand on the knee, a shared look, a dance to your favorite old song. That's where desire begins. Now, what happens when you start to combine these 4 habits: morning light, red grapes, deep breathing, and emotional connection? You begin to shift the internal conversation happening in your body. You're telling your hormones, "I'm listening. I'm showing up. I want to feel again." And your body miraculously begins to answer. In the next part, we'll take these habits and build them into something even more powerful: a simple daily rhythm that becomes your foundation. Because change doesn't come from what you do once. It comes from what you repeat with intention. Let's make it real. Let's build your 24-hour blueprint for desire, energy, and strength, starting the moment you wake up tomorrow. Now that you've seen how simple habits like morning sun, red grapes, slow breathing, and human connection can start to reignite your internal spark, the next step is bringing it all together. Because knowledge without rhythm becomes noise. But once you weave these into your daily life into a flow, your body can trust something subtle begins to shift. Not overnight, but in a way that feels sustainable, real, and quietly powerful. Let's design your 24-hour blueprint. Not a strict routine or performance checklist, but a rhythm that honors your biology, supports your hormones, and gently wakes up the man you've always been. No more crash diets, extreme workouts, or waiting for motivation to strike. Just a simple path through your day that brings clarity back to your mind, energy back to your body, and connection back to your heart. Start in the morning, the most important window of your day. Within 30 minutes of waking up, open the curtains or step outside and let natural light hit your face. Even 10 minutes can reset your body's master clock, help regulate melatonin, and trigger a natural boost in dopamine and testosterone. That sunlight isn't just about mood, it's a hormonal wake-up call. Pair it with a glass of water and a few slow stretches to wake up your circulation. You don't need a gym, just a signal to your joints, your breath, and your nervous system that life is beginning. Then comes breakfast. This isn't about counting macros or skipping meals. It's about sending the right messages to your hormones. Prioritize protein and color. Think hard-boiled eggs, a handful of walnuts, some blueberries or red grapes. Red grapes, as we discussed, support your testosterone levels by protecting it from conversion to estrogen. Protein gives your body the raw materials it needs to rebuild. Avoid sugar-heavy cereals or pastries, they spike insulin. Crash your energy and send your hormones into chaos before your day even begins. Mid-morning or early afternoon, it's time to move. A short walk around the block, a stroll in the park, even walking while on a phone call. This isn't about burning calories, it's about keeping your blood flowing and helping your body process the hormones it's trying to regulate. Moving after meals also supports blood sugar control and encourages nitric oxide production, something essential for healthy arousal, cardiovascular health, and mental clarity. When lunchtime comes, eat for fuel, not sedation. Many men over 60 find themselves sleepy after lunch, and that often comes down to food choices. Instead of heavy, greasy meals that leave you sluggish, aim for something light but nutrient-rich. Grilled salmon, leafy greens, quinoa, or lentils. Avoid excess bread or sugar. Eat with intention, not with distraction. And if you can share the meal with someone. Studies have shown that social connection during meals improves digestion, mood, and hormonal balance. In the afternoon pause, just for 2 or 3 minutes. Sit quietly and breathe slowly, intentionally. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold it for 4, then exhale for 6. Repeat. This is not just a relaxation trick. It's a biological reset. Every time you activate your parasympathetic nervous system with breath, your body reduces cortisol levels, allowing testosterone to stabilize and even increase over time. Think of it as a pressure valve. Every breath you control is a signal to your body that it's safe to restore itself. Now we move into the most powerful time of day for emotional healing, the evening. This is when many men feel disconnected, distracted, or quietly numb. But it's also the perfect moment to reconnect with your partner, your body, or your own thoughts. Begin with presence. When you return home, put your phone away. Look your partner in the eyes. Touch their hand. Ask how they're really doing and mean it. These small acts of presence release oxytocin, rebuild intimacy, and create the emotional safety that fuels physical desire. As dinner approaches, eat light. Heavy evening meals disrupt sleep and force your body to focus on digestion instead of hormone repair. Choose foods rich in healthy fats, avocados, olive oil, roasted vegetables, small portions of lean protein. Cook together if you can. The act of preparing food side by side is one of the most ancient forms of bonding. It brings warmth back into the relationship, not just the plate. As the night winds down, begin your screen down ritual. Bright blue light from your TV or phone suppresses. Melatonin confuses your circadian rhythm and disrupts the very sleep cycle that's essential for restoring testosterone overnight. So dim the lights. Put on quiet music. Light a candle and shift the environment from stimulation to restoration. Now is the time for stillness. Brew a cup of chamomile or lavender tea. Write down one thing you're grateful for and one small intention for tomorrow. It sounds simple, but gratitude improves sleep. Intention sharpens focus. And both tell your body, we're safe, we're okay. You can rest now. And then if you have a partner, reach out. Not for performance, not for expectation, but for connection. A hand on the shoulder, a kiss on the cheek, sitting close. These non-sexual touches rebuild the foundation that desire stands on. And if you're single, don't skip this step. Use this time to care for yourself. A heating pad over your abdomen, slow breaths, peaceful music. Reconnect with your own body, with your own presence. This rhythm isn't about perfection, it's about consistency. Try it for just 7 days, that's all. 7 days of sunlight, 7 nights of slow breathing, 7 gentle moments of connection, and watch what begins to happen. You'll start noticing small things first. Your mornings feel lighter, your thinking a bit sharper, your body less resistant. And then something deeper, a return of warmth, a flicker of desire, a quiet knowing that you're not fading, you're rebalancing. No supplements, no gimmicks, just your body, remembering how to feel again. In the next section, we'll go even deeper, not into biology or routine, but into meaning, into dignity, into what it truly means to age not with fear, but with power. Because all the science in the world can't heal a man who still believes his best days are behind him. It's time to reclaim something far more important than testosterone, your self-worth. Let's pause here, not for another tip or tactic, but to breathe. Because beneath everything we've discussed, sunlight, movement, grapes, breath, there's something deeper calling for your attention. Not your hormones, not your energy, but your dignity. You see, aging doesn't just change your body. It reshapes your identity. And slowly, subtly, it changes how the world sees you and how you see yourself. You used to walk into a room and command attention. Now people offer to carry your bags. You once felt fire behind your eyes. Now you wonder if that spark has gone out. But I want to tell you something you might not have heard in a very long time. You haven't lost your value. You've just forgotten how much of it you gave away. You gave your strength to your work, your presence to your children, your time to responsibilities. You gave your body your patience, your humor without asking for much in return. And for that, you should be deeply proud. But here's the truth: no one taught you how to receive. No one showed you how to give something back to yourself. That's where the quiet ache comes from, not a lack of testosterone, but a lack of recognition. Because for decades, you were the provider, the protector, the fixer, the one who stayed calm, the one who didn't break. And now that things have slowed, no one's clapping, no one's noticing, not even you. But this season of life isn't about fading, it's about refining. It's not about chasing youth, it's about reclaiming clarity. Because the man you were at 30 had speed. The man you are at 60 has depth. At 40, you could push through anything. But now you can see through everything. You know what matters. You know what's real. And that is a power younger men can't yet understand. You may not be the strongest in the room anymore, but now you are the wisest. And that matters more than you know. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs quiet strength. It needs presence. It needs men who can sit in silence and still feel full. And that man, he's still in you. He never left. He's just been waiting for you to look in the mirror and say, I see you again. There's a certain grief that comes with aging. But it's not about losing youth. It's about realizing no one told you how to live after the giving was done. You spent decades building the house, raising the family, being the dependable one. And now that it's quieter, you're asking, what now? Here's what. Now is the time you reclaim the parts of yourself you left behind. Not to go back in time, not to recapture something that's gone, but to finally become whole. Because you deserve more than to simply exist in this chapter. You deserve to feel, to love, to laugh, to want again. I've sat across from so many men who quietly admitted, I feel invisible. They weren't depressed. They weren't ill. They were simply unrecognized. But the most powerful thing I've witnessed, the way a man lights up the moment he starts to reconnect with his body, his breath, his partner, his voice, that flicker, that return is everything. So if you're still listening, still feeling something stir inside you, then know this, you're not alone. And you are not past your prime. In fact, you are standing at the edge of the most meaningful years of your life, not because they're the loudest, but because they're finally yours. Yours to define, yours to shape, yours to reclaim. You're not here to prove anything anymore. You're here to feel everything. That's where strength lives now. Not in what you can lift or fix or achieve, but in how deeply you can experience what's left. The man you used to be is proud of you, but the man you are becoming, he's waiting for you to stop running, to stop apologizing, to stop pretending you don't miss feeling alive. Because you do. And there's nothing weak about that. In fact, that's the most courageous thing you can admit. You've survived loss. You've endured pressure. You've held your tongue when you wanted to scream. And still you are here. That is not failure. That is resilience. So what now? Now you begin to return. To connection. To presence. To yourself. You're not chasing some version of your younger body. You're honoring the man your soul has always been becoming. And when you do that, when you choose dignity over denial, you don't just feel younger. You feel true. You feel awake. Because desire isn't only about libido. It's about longing for life again. It's about being able to say, I still want, I still care, I still matter, and you do. You always have. And now it's time you finally believe it. Maybe right now you're just sitting, still, quiet, not thinking, not reacting, just feeling something you haven't felt in a long time, a flicker of recognition, or maybe even hope. If that's where you are, stay there for a moment. Don't rush out of it. Because sometimes the most powerful transformations don't begin with action. They begin with awareness. With the simple act of noticing that something inside you has shifted. You've walked with me through the science, through sunlight and sleep breath and blood flow, intimacy and identity. But more importantly, you've walked through yourself, through memories, through quiet grief, through the questions no one hears you ask. And now, here we are. And I want to say something very clearly. You're not too late. You're right on time. You don't have to overhaul your life tonight. You don't have to become someone new. You simply have to begin gently, intentionally, quietly, by saying yes to the man you still are. So I invite you to do something that may feel small, but isn't. Scroll down to the comments, and if this touched something in you, just write 2 words. I'm ready. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to justify it. That's your line in the sand. That's your quiet declaration to the world and to yourself that you're not giving up, that you're not settling for fatigue or disconnection, that you still believe in your own aliveness. And if you feel safe enough to do so, share this video with someone who needs it. A brother, a friend, a partner. Someone silently wondering if anyone else feels the way they do. Because the truth is, they do. And your willingness to show up might be the permission someone else is waiting for. And now I want to pass the final word to someone who's guided you since the beginning of this journey. Comment below if this helped you. And don't miss our next video right here on Senior Health Secrets, because your best years aren't behind you. They're one choice away. This isn't the end. It's the beginning of something new, something quieter, stronger, and far more honest. In our next video, we'll go even deeper supplements that claim to boost testosterone. But don't work. It's not about fear. It's about power. It's about understanding what your body is trying to tell you before the signals fade. So turn on notifications. Subscribe. Because the truth you've been waiting to hear, it's coming, and it's meant for you.